quatrième top, il sera exactement 0 heure, 0 minute, 0 seconde.
I disregard completely the aesthetic quality of the object. I'm against craftsmanship. I say the world is full of wonderful craftsmen, but there are very few practical dreamers.
The American modern artist Man Ray has often been put into a box, labeled either as a photographer or dadaist or maker of objects. He is often underappreciated for his wide range of artistic talent, ideas, and approaches. This dadaist surrealist artist did not consider himself tied down to one medium. He is considered to be a dadaist surrealist, and over his lifetime created numerous works of art using various techniques such as oil painting, airbrush, rayographs, objects, films, and photographs. According to the Smithsonian American Art Museum, his art slid back and forth from Dada revolt to surrealist iconography. From formal aesthetics to commercial design, his technique was whatever he chose. He was dedicated to create idea rather than any particular style or medium. This is Ray's 1913 oil painting titled Portrait of Donna. The painting is a representation of a woman sitting at a table. Even though there is some shattering and overlapping, the painting itself is very flat because of the lack of depth. The shapes overall are very geometric and stiff. It is a stylized painting of a person. The colors used are primary colors, which makes it a triadic color scheme. The colors complement each other, which keeps one color from standing out more than the other. The blue lines in the dress guides the viewer's eye up to the woman's face. The texture from the brushstrokes is visible, which adds another dynamic element to the painting. The seated woman is practically centered, but the black chair feels very heavy on the left side. There is a diagonal line on the top right corner and straight line down the length of the right side that balance out the piece. The woman in this painting is Man Ray's future wife, Adon Lacroix, a French painter and poet. She became his first artistic muse, and as he took numerous photographs of her, she served as his model for drawings and paintings. This painting is dated 1913, before World War I began. It was painted when he and Miss Lacroix were living in Rainfield, New Jersey. This piece is an example of Man Ray beginning to explore cubism and more stylized painting. At this point, many of his previous works were more naturalistic depictions of people and nature. He was part of the Dadaist movement in the 1910s New York and became friends with French Dadaist Marcel Duchamp. Ray decided that America was not ready for Dadaism, so he decided to move to Paris to continue exploring his artistic endeavors with both new photography techniques and sculptural works. Dadaism gave way to French Surrealism, and Ray continued to create artwork, including fashion and portrait photographs until World War II brought him back to America. After the war, he returned to Paris where he felt his work was more appreciated and understood, and lived until his death in 1976. This is a portrait of American writer Sinclair Lewis, taken in 1926 in Man Ray's Paris studio. The large corkscrew in the background divides the composition of this portrait. The subject, however, is not centered or looking at the camera. This creates a sensation of a slump or weight into the bottom right corner of the image. The corkscrew makes the viewer's eye keep moving around and around down the frame. As this is a black and white image, there is no color, but there are a range of values. The light skin tone of Lewis in strong contrast to the black jacket and the shadow areas of the corkscrew. The negative space in the background is also an example of contrast, as it is a natural midtone compared to the other light and dark elements. Although the elements in the image are not centered, there is a sense of balance. The expression of Lewis' face and the position of his hand clutching his jacket to his neck communicates a slight vulnerability or unsureness. According to Man Ray, Lewis was drunk when he came into the studio and had his portrait taken. At first, it may seem odd that this American novelist was in Paris, but between the world wars, Paris became re-established as a cultural center for art, literature, and music. As Lauren Rabinovitz notes, by the end of the 1920s, Man Ray had become so successful as a portrait photographer that almost every major artist figure who passed through Paris sat for him. Man Ray is most famously known for his fashion and portrait photography, and experimented with unusual and new techniques, including his stereographs and solarization. According to the Getty Museum, Man Ray was one of the first artists to take photographs seen as important works of art, equal to that of painting and sculpture. He explored and excelled at multiple mediums, and throughout his life pushed the boundaries of what was considered art. Although he is largely known for American as a photographer, he hated that notion. He said, "I have painted all these years, and if I brought over my things to New York, I could fill a respectable gallery. But these one-track-minded Americans have now put me down as a photographer." Man Ray, filmmaker, painter, photographer, maker of objects, 20th century artist.
J'ai deux motifs quand je travaille, deux poursuites. Je poursuis la liberté et je poursuis le plaisir.